Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button while you're at it. This is a parody of Midnight in the Garden of Tyler Perry, and it's a parody to Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. In this parody, we have preachers as well as movie stars and entertainers that were accused of sexual crimes, and remember, they are alleged until proven guilty. Pay attention to the Madea character standing on the first commandment as well as Lamentations 3:37. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Enjoy. So Tyler Perry has been sued for $260 million over allegation of sexual harassment, assault, and retaliation, among other complaints. Dozens of trans women came forward after the death of Shalimar. Shalimar, if you can recall, in 1997, was a sex worker who was being watched by police before getting into Eddie Murphy's SUV. And Shalimar was unaware of who the driver was. So Murphy was pulled over by the police. He was questioned for about 30 minutes, then released, while Shalimar was arrested for an outstanding warrant on prostitution. Murphy claimed that he was just being a good Samaritan by giving Shalimar a ride home. Well, the story made major headlines because at that time, Eddie Murphy was married to Nicole Murphy, who was out of the country, I believe, at that time. And then Saturday Night did a spoof. And you know what happens when Saturday Night does a spoof? It just goes all over the place. So the National Enquirer, you remember the National Enquirer back then, they got involved and they paid Shalimar $15,000 bond in exchange for exclusive details on the ride home with Eddie Murphy. However, Shalimar ended up dead on April the 22nd, climbing over a balcony to try to get into the apartment. Now just look at the pictures comparing Shalimar with Nicole Murphy. So you can see why Eddie would have been attracted to Shalimar, but that story about going to pick up a newspaper and seeing a nice lady giving her a ride, I don't know. Many people have questioned that. Of course, the trans community and others have been asking questions because it's awfully strange for Shalimar to have died from the familiar surrounding of their own apartment. This story seems to be resurfacing due to the $260 million lawsuit against Tyler Perry by Derek Dixon. Put a comment to let me know what you think about this. Now, moving right along to the next story. If you can remember Bishop Eddie Long, he was accused by 4 young men. He was a mega church pastor, and he was accused of sexual assault. And then he was saying something like, I have 4 rocks, and I haven't tossed one of them yet. Well, he never tossed the rocks. And the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Nothing was ever done past then. And some of the accusers still came forward with saying what happened to them. Like one young man had said that it was so disgusting he could not take enough showers to wash Eddie Long's cologne off of him. But Eddie Long died in 2017. These accusations against him was in 2010, and he died in 2017. He had massive weight loss, and people was questioning what was going on with him. And from what I remember from reading the videos and also seeing reports, he had stated that he had lost the weight because he was on a vegan diet, and he was encouraging people to have more healthful eating habits and things. And I know vegans had answered and said, hey, that's not from a vegan diet. But he did die in 2017. They had a grand funeral for him, and now we're going to go on to the next story. Sean Diddy, Puffy Combs, Puff Diddy, whichever way you call him, he had been accused of drugging and raping a man in 2021, shortly before other allegations against him began to come out. Now, it kind of was, things were ignited by Cassie's lawsuit that really came forward. She had put a lawsuit in, and he came out, denied the charges, saying that his character was being assassinated. And then the next day, the suit was settled and things were further looked into. And then he has now all these charges against him on sexual charges. And then this is where we are now, where the court is now in session and they are deliberating his case. Many sexual charges. Many people had alleged that he caused the death of some of the people that were close to him. But you have to kind of look at the statistics of if there's a lot of people succumbing around you or dying around you. I kind of would be like distance myself. But, it is what it is. Let's see how this turns out. Put a comment on what you think about this. And remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe so I can at least get up to 500 subscriptions.